All right, I think we are live. Happy Monday, April 8th, for this April 8th, 2019. I know it's been a while since I've done a live chat. I apologize for that. Um, I've had to make some adjustments here to the channel. I installed a fresh Ubuntu 19.04, Ubuntu Mate 19.04 over the weekend, and looks like it's stable enough to do a live show. So we'll get started here in a few minutes, but I do have breaking news from the creator of Linux. Linus Torvalds is back. The previous Linus Torvalds. He says that Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram are a disease. There you go. So you may want to check that out. According to Linus, anonymity, mentions anonymity, liking, sharing, and it's just disgusting. Spatman, what's up? What is the topic? It's an open chat. Really, it's more of a Microsoft Monday. I haven't done a Microsoft Monday news item in a while. But I had to share this first from Linus Torvalds, who thinks Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram are a disease. Well, then doctors should be busy for the rest of their lives, right? That's right, Microsoft Monday. We'll get to that in a moment. What's up, Sam Gnostic? We'll get to that in a moment. Why I will continue to use Windows 10. All right, Spatry. Next time I do only Linux, you're invited. You can just take over the show, my man. It's been a while, but yeah, we'll talk a little bit about Microsoft tonight and versus Windows versus Linux and why Windows still wins. Unfortunately, so. Well, I'm kind of stuck on it myself on the 2011 HP. Okay. All right. Yeah, Ben, give me a second. I'll send you an invite. I will not be on too late, and I got to make a long-distance phone call before 10 to New York. So, again, welcome to this live chat. It has been a while. I'm doing the best I can. I don't do these full time, so I want to, but I can't. So, Sam will be installing Arch. Okay. If that's what you want. I will not. So, which Ryzen? 5, 7? You got to push yourself sometimes. Sam, I pushed myself for 10 years. I distro hopped for 10 years. I had to stop. I was just hopping from bugs to bugs to bugs. It was just silly. It was stupid. Once again, without a national Linux standard. Yeah, so just using what you know and like all the time gets boring after a while. Okay, I could see that. Yeah, I hopped for 10 years more out of curiosity, learning, self-taught. I had the patience to learn about different distributions and stuff like that. So I don't regret doing it. But I finally had to settle down into something, especially doing multiple live shows during the week. I needed something stable. I didn't have time to do live shows and fix things, and this and that. I couldn't do it. Ubuntu 18.04 has issues. Yeah, there is no perfect Linux desktop because we don't have a Linux standard for the masses. That's the problem still in 2019. So when we this is the last year for Windows 7 support. And next month there's going to be a massive Windows update again. Will it work? Will it crash? How many times do you have to reboot? You know, I don't know. And I think in 2019, Sam and everybody watching, I think it's, yeah, another one. I think, Sam, in 2019, it's way too easy and presumptuous to call Windows users stupid for using Windows 10 when they can try a Linux desktop. There is no Linux desktop. You walk into a store, at least here in the States, I don't see any Linux desktop. Chromebooks come close, but I'm not seeing any Linux desktop to tell a Windows user, stop using Windows 10. There's a Linux desktop. You walk into Walmart or Best Buy, you buy an Ubuntu or Linux Mint or whatever. It's only $400, and you can tell them this might be better than Windows 10. But it doesn't exist. So it's presumptuous to say, to call Windows users stupid when they really don't have a choice to walk into a store.
Hey,
you know, hey Ben, yeah, they can come here to the channel, which is great. I want them to come. I want them to tell them about a choice, but I can't physically show them a choice because there is none. Hence, for people who don't want to upgrade to Windows 10 for Windows 7, go to Mac. It's proven itself.
Right.
Mac is a standard. So what's new, Ben?
It's expensive.
Well, you can buy a Mac Mini for what, $500? It's going to be slow, but
I mean,
it's going to be slow, but it'll work. So
right, it'll work, but it won't be what they want. You know?
Well, Windows 10 may not be what they want.
Right. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
I'd rather take slow than something that's nutty. That's just me.
It's a shame in 2019. I got to tell Windows 7 users who don't want Windows 10 to buy a Mac. But I got to be honest. If I'm a total newbie to Linux, and I know jack squat from, you know, the terminal to RPM based, I can't say, you know, try Ubuntu Linux. But well, I can, but I can't guarantee it's going to work. I can guarantee if you buy a Mac, it's going to work because they're already perfected.
They're pre-built. Yeah.
Chromebooks are an option. There's no question, you know.
But it's not the most user-friendly system out there. I mean, sure, I mean, you know, someone like us could figure it out with time, but I mean, a user's going to want something out of the box, ready to run, ready to go. And, you know, sure, we've got laptops and desktops from System 76 that come with Pop! OS on them, but I mean,
you're back up to the $1,000. You might as well get a $500 Mac Mini, and you're good to go. So
right. I mean, these machines, like the one I've got here, the Lemur, that's like, you know, sure, it's like an $800 machine, but no one's going to want to spend $800 for a laptop. I mean, that's silly. I mean, you know, when I bought this thing 2 years ago, it was $600, and I mean, that is still not worth it.
You can buy Windows laptops for a little less $200. It'll run as slow as a turtle, but you can buy them. You can buy Chromebooks starting at $200 that'll run considerably faster.
Yeah.
So I mean, really, if you are a Windows 7 user and don't like Windows 10, your choices are Chromebooks. Now the faster one, like the Pixelbook, I heard is superb. It's been described as flawless. I don't have one. Or buy a Mac.
Right. Those
Until I can walk into a store and see a Linux Mint machine or a Ubuntu machine, those are your choices. I'm just calling it as I see it.
Yeah. Like until we have somebody selling, you know, Ubuntu or Mint or something on a, you know, a Dell or whatever, we're kind of stuck. I mean, you know, it's sad, but I mean, you know, until we get a mainstream bunch of manufacturers like Sony and Dell and Samsung or whoever, we're kind of stuck. I mean, you know, we gotta find a way to convince these OEMs to throw an option for Windows or an option for one of the two.
The only one that's even attempted it is Google with the Chromebooks.
Right.
And they've done a pretty good job.
Yeah, but
from $200 up to $1,500, you have choices. So
right. Now, if I were them, you know, basing off of Gen 2, that's a little weird, but I mean, you know, it's what they're used to. I mean, that's the sad part. You know? I mean, I've played around with Gentoo, as you know.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to. I mean, I know from experience it is hard. I mean, Gentoo is no walk in the dang park, not by a mile.
Well, Chromebooks are based on Gentoo, I guess, but they've been pre-configured for the user, so you know.
Right. I mean, the user is going to sit there and compile code down the screen for hours on end. It's not going to.
You know, even Linus Torvalds says that the future of the Linux desktop lies in Android or Chromebooks.
Right.
That's sad. That's the only option. There's nothing wrong with those two, but that's it.
I mean, if that's the case, then you know, desktop Linux as we know it is not going to stay the same.
The desktop Linux right now is pretty much locked in and relegated to us geeks. That's just the reality of it. So, you know, so before you call a Windows user stupid for using Windows 10 or buying a Windows 10 machine, take a look at yourself in the mirror before you call that person stupid. And why you're saying that. It's not fair at all. It's understandable, but it's not fair. Yeah.
I mean, them doing that, no offense, this is not to piss anybody off or anything, but that takes them down a whole lot of levels. I mean, just being, not to make anyone look bad, or myself, but, you know, I mean, saying a user is dumb for using Windows and they don't know how the heck to use Linux, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you know, there's something mental. I mean, I don't know what it is with these people, and telling them and telling newbies who don't know what the heck Linux is, and we're trying our hardest to help them with videos or remote support or in-person support or whatever, you know, trying to help them out. And you're there just saying, oh, this is this purchase, and they're dumb for using Windows, and that's all they've known all their life.
Well, I mean, you know, Sam has a comment here. That's not true, Sam. The Pixelbook, is, I believe, soon will be able to dual boot with Windows. The Pixelbook can do Android. It doubles as a tablet. It's like a 6-in-1 machine. It does some Debian or Ubuntu-based apps. That's not entirely. The cheaper Chromebooks ain't going to do it. But the Pixelbook is a 6-in-1 machine for $1,000. Ain't bad. There's nothing else on the market for that price, you know.
Evening, gentlemen.
Hey.
Hi, Ricky.
Hey, just letting you know, Toss. I was talking with Ben earlier. I have completely convinced him he is officially not going to distro hop anymore.
Exactly. You heard it here, everybody.
So Ben, tell
until Friday.
So tell them what we discussed, Ben.
Right. Well, Toss. That Ben has kicked the curb, gone out the door.
Okay.
I am making a solemn vow. My New Year's resolution and life resolution is going to force myself to not be an idiot and distro hop.
I don't have a little frying thing here.
Well, yeah, but look, I mean, the frying pan joke.
Hi, Paul.
Look, I mean, you guys have told me to stop distro hopping for years, and I wasn't listening. And it's made me frustrated to the point of just saying, okay, if I'm going to stop, I'm going to stop using Linux. And that's not a sensible thing to do. And I mean, you know, Tim F. went out of his way to send me a laptop that I could do that on. And, you know, I know I'm sounding like I'm beating crap with a dead horse right now, but I mean, seriously, dude, as everyone's friend and their mother here, I got to stop distro hopping. I mean, you know, I just...
Did you talk to my doctor, Dr. Benny Bendova?
No. I mean, Ricky and I, we were just playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Online for a little while, and, you know, he had a thorough talk with me, and he set me right. I mean...
Basically, I told him, if you want to use Linux the right way, have a spare machine set for Linux and keep your main Windows and Mac systems intact. That's all you got to do.
Right. It's not rocket science. I mean, my tower that I'm chatting with you guys on this live chat thing, that is my primary system. It's staying Windows and Mac. There's no changing that. I can't do that. That's a bad idea. And it stayed that way for months. I mean, this machine has not been touched OS-wise.
Let me go to some Windows news real quick here, since this is a Microsoft Monday. I'm going to give you some more thoughts.
I do have one thing to include on that.
All right. Hi, Ben.
Hi, how you doing, guys? How you doing,
Ben number 2.
We'll just do Ben 1 and Ben 2. How about that?
Ben 1 and Ben 2, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Ben Fitz is Ben 1.
Yeah, or you could just use our last names. I don't
Ben
care.
Fitz, okay. All right.
You can just
Welcome.
say Ben Fitz and Ben Eldridge. Go there. There you go.
Anyway.
Right. Yeah.
All right, so next month there is another massive Windows 10 update coming up. Supposedly, that one it will give you more control over the updates. Here's the thing. It's welcome news. Here's the thing. They're trying to fix a problem that should never have been a problem in the first place, which is a continual problem. Okay, I'm just going to call it as I say. I haven't had those update problems in my machines, to be fair. I still don't like the massive reboots, constant reboot. I don't like, but it hasn't. I haven't lost files like I did once in Linux or anything. That hasn't happened to me. So I guess it's hit and miss. Just to be fair about this, but just to let you guys know, we use Windows 10. Be prepared.
Yeah.
All right.
Especially in the Insider program.
Right. The other thing, the Microsoft made an announcement that you really, they're saying you really don't need to safely remove USB flash drive anymore. Right-click safely remove. I never do it. I'll wait till the files are written, wait, then pull the drive. You probably should click safely remove.
You technically,
yeah.
As long as nothing's happening, you technically don't even have to do that in the first place.
Yes.
All right.
I don't. I probably should, but anyway, Microsoft is confirming that you don't have to do it. There's something called a quick removal feature built in Windows 10. I didn't know till this, but even in Windows 7, I didn't safely. I just waited till it was done and pull it for what it's worth. Okay.
That's what I do too. So I mean,
Yeah.
I'm a fairly knowledgeable user. I don't see the need to have to wait. I just wait it out, unplug it, boom, done. I don't, screw up my flash drives and external hard drives by just letting it halfway right or somewhat right, and then boom.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to be absolutely safe, right-click. Even in Linux, right-click, safely eject the drive just to be safe. That's true, and then probably even a Mac. I don't have a Mac, but it's probably the same way. So, all right.
Or you can mount it.
Either one.
Okay. All right.
You can do the unmount command through the terminal.
What else do I have? Yeah, so anyway, Microsoft is confirming that most people don't do it anyway. Fine.
Well, I just got to say one thing. At least Microsoft is trying to fix the constant update issue. At least they're trying.
Right. And
it should have never, of all the things you want to tune, tweak, fix, forcing updates down users' throats? Really?
Yeah.
But here's the thing. In spite of all the embarrassing headaches and the lawsuits, the Windows users don't have a choice. They can't afford a Mac. There's no Linux, so they're stuck with Windows.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't blame the Windows users. They don't have a freaking choice.
Or if there is Linux, they don't know about it.
Yeah.
Right. They don't know.
Anyway.
I brought my mom onto Linux. She learned it like a champ. All I did was answer her, set up the machine for her, put the icons on the screen.
Yeah.
It was fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, unless we have that kind of moral support from a family member or, a local tech or whatever, no one's gonna. I mean, even my friend Casey, who's a family friend and he's a support guy, he doesn't know Linux like I do. And I mean, I'm the family support person, and I mean, sure, I may be 27 years old and have a strong Linux backbone, whatever. But I mean, not every family in the world has, a knowledgeable guy like me who's used Linux since 2005, 2008, and can sort of help them out with every problem on the planet. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so
yeah.
I mean, I don't mind helping them with their issues, but I mean, my mom put in the effort to learn it and get herself in a usable state. That I mean, it's. I mean, until I wasn't gonna use Linux for her. That wasn't my point. My point was to get her in a place where she could feel secure, feel comfortable, ask me questions, etc. And, you know, I would, you know, gladly help her out when she needed it, and she understood that. I mean, you know, and she would expect nonetheless of me to support it, you know, and that's what it's saying.
Well, if the future of the Linux desktop is truly, you know, Chrome OS or Android, all I could say is Google quit screwing around and give us the Linux desktop for Windows users, okay? That's all I'm going to say. So.
Oh,
all right.
By the way, Toss, a news bulletin came across my Discord not long ago. Microsoft's Chromium-based browser is now available.
Really?
I did see that. Yeah, I did see that. Right.
Well, what I'll say is I
have no interest in it personally, but yeah.
Yeah, I've given 3 people Manjaro Linux, and I've had no issues with it whatsoever.
But it's going to happen soon, guaranteed. It's going to happen. There's just too much. I installed Ubuntu Mate 19 because Friday I had an issue with the graphics in 1810. And I was doing terminal commands, rebooting, doing this, doing that. Finally, you know what? Screw this. 2 hours to fix what? I just installed a new one, still a beta, but that's not my problem. You can't tell a Windows user to do that. They're not going to go for it. You know.
I mean.
So
the bad thing about Manjaro is it's Arch based, and 2, it's rolling release. You don't put Arch on a new user's machine. It's
unless you really don't like them.
Right.
Yeah, rolling release is
like the ex-girlfriend or something. No, I'm just kidding. This is not news nonsense. Hi, Joe.
Hey, Joe. Yeah, I mean, hey, it's just bad usage. It's bad support on top of that. That's like feeding a fish to a shark's mouth, you know?
Well, you know, the headlines read next month the most wanted feature in Windows 10 for users is coming. I'm like, what? Getting rid of Windows 10 altogether? That's the most wanted feature. It's control over the updates, but it never should have been a problem in the first place. Anyway, but it won't matter. It won't matter because people will continue with Windows 10 and Windows 7 upgrade to Windows 10. No matter how much we talk about Linux, still we're blue in the face.
I will say this much though: Windows 10 has certainly improved significantly over the years. Like it had a crappy launch, but now it seems way better.
Yes.
If you take away the telemetry and the forced update, it is a superb system. It really is.
I agree. I mean, it's got better driver support, better performance all around. I mean, if it wasn't for the tracking and the privacy issues and the updates, the forced updates, which I know they're fixing, I got it. That's fine. And, once they fix all of that next month, I think we're going to have a contender to Linux. I really do. I mean, that's not to sound facetious, but I'm just saying, this whole thing, it's, in my opinion, now that they've attempted to fix, I mean, they can't really patch everything in a matter of, 6 months. I mean, they have to do incremental updates. That's why it's called Windows 10, because, and I understand why they're trying to push people away from Windows 7 and Windows XP, because, guys, those systems are ancient history. I mean, I'm not trying to be a hard butt about it, but seriously, it's time to move on. It really is. And if you don't want Windows 10, even after all the fixing they've done with all the issues, like Todd said, best bets are either 1, get used to Linux, 2, go to a Mac, or go to a Chromebook.
If the Windows 7 user doesn't need gaming, if the Windows 7 user doesn't do multimedia stuff, doesn't need like what Stephanie uses in her Mac for singing, if don't do that, if it's primarily email, the web, get yourself a Chromebook. They're supported for even the $200. I believe it's supported for 5 years. That's not bad.
Right.
And, no viruses. Don't worry about it. It does the automatic update, simple, fast. You're good to go. There's nothing on the market to compete with a $200 Chromebook that's supported for 5 years out of the box. Good to go.
Right.
So just get a Chromebook and don't get Windows 10. You know.
I got to tell you a little conversation I had when I was in Best Buy the other day. Actually, I was walking in to kill a little time. I had a bill to pay, and I see the whole back wall, this big banner with Windows on there or whatever. So I'm walking back there, and a couple of guys were just hanging by the counter.
Yeah.
One of them walks up to me and, can I help you? I said, yeah, you get rid of that up there. I said, that's killing me. And so we started kind of cracking jokes or whatever. But I told him, I said, I'm pretty much a full-time Linux user. And he knew where I was going with that right away. So we got into a pretty interesting conversation. He said to me, I think it was one of the HPs they had there, that he was trying, he's brought USBs and he goes, beauty of the USBs, he says, you can boot them up and, try Linux and everything. He goes, but I can't get them to work on here. I said, well, yeah, did you go in and turn off secure boot? And he said, what's that? Where's that at? And I said, it's in the BIOS. I said, you gotta turn that off. I said, and some of the laptops have, actually more than just the one feature that you gotta turn off. Like my Dell did or whatever. I said, the Dell's very, very responsive to that, and he goes, really? So I was almost tempted to stop back home and then come back there with the USB drive, but one of these days we'll see. But the discussion, it was interesting because the discussion that we had was exactly what we talked about in the past about having a machine sitting there and showing. But see, I disagreed with him because he said, most people come in, they're not going to know what they're looking at. They're going to have a hard time figuring it out. And I said, that's because you need to be educated on it, and you need to be the one to explain it and show them. I said, it's all part of the marketing process. I said, no different than if somebody's on Windows and they're going to go to a Mac for the first time, you're going to have to educate them. I said, this is no different. I say, quite frankly, it's not. The other thing I disagree with is it's not just for basic use. So he goes, well, you can't really do a lot of video editing and that. I said, you're wrong. I said, there may be some software, that isn't quite there to the Adobe stuff that everybody says or whatever. I said, but most people still do that. I said, I belong to a community of people that many of them, they're doing regular streams and podcasts and all these things that still do that. I said, there's a gal that I know that's part of the community that she's a photo editor. She uses Darktable and all the different software that comes along with it. I said, so that's the problem. It's getting people educated, making them aware of what's out there and showing them started that way. And until you can, and I told kind of what you've said all along, Carm, is that you gotta, yes, Dell has the XPS out there, which is a $900 laptop. I said, but you got to get your entry level $400 system sitting on the shelf over there and show them there's another option. I said, and the best people to teach are the ones who's never had a computer before, old and young, but especially old. I said, old tend to adapt. Elderly people tend to adapt to Linux very easily. I'm not sure what it is, if it's because they just don't, like if they didn't have any kind of preconceived uses of it, or the comfort level we keep talking about and all that other stuff. But I did see, and I was trying to search for the bookmark. I don't remember exactly what the code was called. There's some code that Microsoft released recently, and it was in one of the Linux users group. I'm going to try to find it. But one of the things that struck me about it was, they made it sound like it was kind of a good thing, but interestingly enough, the way it was discussed, it was a data accessing type code. And that bothers me. And I still think, all this warm and fuzzy love from Microsoft, I'm sorry, I'm never going to trust Microsoft. I really am not. And I want to, protect my domain, so to speak. They want to come along for the ride or whatever, but you can't drop your guard with it, at least not for in the near future.
Windows 10 changed everything. Yeah.
Pardon me?
Windows 10 changed everything.
Yeah.
Even more egregious than the previous versions. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think it just changed the whole structure, the politics of it. It's a shame because it wasn't necessary.
Well, you're very correct when you sit there and you say that the operating system itself, the way it works, it's not bad. It's a really nice system. but it's what they do with it that's the problem. And the other thing is just like what you just got done saying, Ben. You're not going to put a Arch rolling release on a computer for somebody that's brand new. Well, that's basically what Windows is. It's a rolling release now.
Right.
There's we have someone named Mountain Dewer in the house. I love Mountain Dew, by the way. He says he works in a corporate environment that people just don't care about OSs. They have other things to do.
Yeah.
They do, and they buy what is convenient. They will never. Right. It's the problem is not getting a Windows user to try Linux for the first time, because now with Linux, Mint, Ubuntu, Peppermint, they're fairly easy. The problem is once something breaks, and it will, now what? Graphics drivers, maybe a printer. You just don't have those issues en masse. In Windows, you don't, and that's the problem.
But the newer kernels now, and I've been pulling what little hair I've got left out, trying to decide which RX 580 to buy. I'm trying to save a little money. That's why I'm not going to Vega or something like that. But everybody that I talked to with those that's used those, with the exception of Zeb, but there was, I don't know what the situation was there, but the majority of 99% of the people say they're running fantastic because they bake the drivers in the kernel now. They say they run, if not better than the base XOR drivers in that. So the fact that 420 or higher kernel has those drivers automatically in there, you're not dealing with the driver updates and the things that hopefully would be breaking it. Stop preventing that. But Windows does the same thing; it breaks stuff. So I mean, all of them do. Mac does too.
Right. There's nothing perfect, but the things that break in Linux, I've never seen that in Windows for me. I just haven't.
Well, and that comes back to like you just said. There's things you haven't had that somebody else has, or vice versa. And I think everybody's experience is different on no matter what machine you have.
Exactly. So, and if I may say, I've noticed, just from my experience, this is not everybody, but I've noticed that, oddly enough, I'm playing a game right now as we're talking. It's Star Wars Republic. It's a little bit older, but, I'm running it just fine on almost all high settings on my AMD card. It's a 560, so not exactly the most beefy thing in the world, but, it's running just perfectly on my AMD, a heck of a lot better than it was on my NVIDIA. I mean, I had, the equivalent NVIDIA card, which is a 1050 last generation card, and I tell you, it's running like a champ on my AMD versus my NVIDIA. I wasn't going to use the Intel integrated drivers because that would just, that's not the kind of user I am. But like I said, I mean, the AMD card is, all intents and purposes, running a lot better than it.
Jesse says Linux doesn't delete your files. No, but it deleted my files.
And I've never heard of
it
anybody
did. It did.
Situation that before. So there you go. You have no Windows issues that many people have, and vice versa. You have a Linux issue.
It was Ubuntu. Thanks, Ubuntu.
Ubuntu.
It did. I was doing my thing, and then I went to my files.
Yeah. Well, Ubuntu is becoming.
Have you backed up today?
Oh shoot!
Anyway.
Well, I already did my big backup of all my files.
Yeah.
Drives.
I love these debates. They're great.
Yeah. I installed an SSD in one of my ThinkPads, my Linux Mint, and it's running a little bit better. I had a backup. It was only a 60 gig original hard drive. Wasn't much on there,
but you know what, Carmen? Let's just sum it up in one thing here.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily just for people who are new to it. It's basically the majority of the everyday users who typically don't do specialty tasks, like if they're into heavy photo editing or a photographer, video editing, and they still could do it. They can. There's a lot of population out there that could use this system and use it well.
But once again, Microsoft has a quality standard, however you want to rate that. Apple has a quality. There is no fragmented. Linux, it's all over the freak. Even Linus Torvalds said The future is not on the Linux desktop. Is now it's either going to be Chrome OS or freaking Android, because that's been proven as a standard. Now we may disagree, and that's fine. But sooner or later, if somebody says, "Hey, Toss, you know what? I'm not happy. I heard you like Ubuntu Mate. I'm going to try that. What should I do?" Well, I like ThinkPad, so buy yourself a ThinkPad. Forget it now. You can try this. So is it going to work? I don't know, because I have no base standard to go by.
Yeah.
Chances are it will, or most of it will. But in the back of my mind, to be completely honest, I don't know if it's going to work.
Right.
I
mean, none of us do, because we all have different hardware, we all have this, that, and the other, and we all have our favorites. So
if you're completely honest up front to the Windows users, then maybe that person will not say Linux sucks because he lied to me, or I wasn't told this. You can't say in one broad sentence Linux is easy. Really? No, it's not. You can't say Gentoo is easy, or Slack or BS. You can't. Now, if you say some Linux is easy, I agree.
Right. I mean, we all agree that certain distros like Ubuntu, Mint, Peppermint, whatever, those are all easy. But there are more higher level, higher needs distros. And like Arch, Gentoo, LFS, Slackware, things like that. Those I would not sync on a newbie's computer, because whether you give them a machine with Linux pre-installed or not, I would not sync onto the hard drive or the SSD a highly needing, no hand-holdy stuff.
Well, it is ironic that the one Linux standard we have, Chromebooks, is based off of Gentoo of all the. It seems ironic, but just proof that's the potential power of Linux once it's done right. So there you go.
Well, and you hear a lot of complaints, and it's happened to me today again. My computer, I had Chrome and Chromium, which I have now, side by side, opened up, and for whatever reason, it tends to be more browser-driven that does this with the freeze-ups. And if it goes to sleep, I can't get it to come back. I mean, Mint actually has a restart Mint applet in it, or you can do a Control-Alt F1, and you don't lose any of your workflow. But if the keyboard locks up, then you're dead in the water, and you have to do a hard restart. Now, that being said, I look back at threads, and I see it going back even a few versions. Yet, the Mint version that I put, I think it was Mate, I don't remember, it was 1803 or 17, which one of those two, I'm an 1803, on that laptop, that old Dell laptop used to be my wife's, I gave to a friend of mine out in Pennsylvania. She absolutely loves it and has never had that happen. So I don't know, again, if it's, and now you're talking to 2010, and this is last July this machine was built. So I don't know if it's still something hardware driven or whatever. It's frustrating, but it seems like every single distro has some kind of a quirk. Even Mate, I love Mate, but I had issues with the menu with the, I'd have to hit the super key 3 times to get the menu to drop down.
It's fragmentation.
Yeah. So it's what are you willing to put up with, until they get it.
Think of the Linux desktop as a highway filled with potholes, and the Windows user has to navigate. Oh, there's a bug. Oh, let me go there. It's not realistic for the newbie. It's just that because they don't have time, they're working, families, kids. It's not realistic for
Now that being said, though, when I was sitting at my accountant's office a week or two ago, whatever it was, getting our taxes done, we were getting done late this year, and he's doing the keyboard commands or whatever, and every so often, he said it does happen to him. He gets this pop-up list that shows up, and he couldn't get it off the window to save his soul. So I had to show him. I said, just hit try escape. If that didn't work, I said, just hit the Windows key or click it, because he click it with the mouse, it wouldn't go away. I had to refresh the screen or whatever. And he goes, yeah, that stuff happens from time to time, or I'll be working on it, and he said stuff will pop up. So again, not picking on necessarily Windows, but Mac does the same thing. Whatever, they all have their quirks. All of them do. It's not just Linux. Linux, the reason I think it happens is because there's so many distros out there. There's so many versions of them, But I'm still very happy with how far it's come already. and I'm excited to see where it's going to go because I think we're close.
Right.
You know,
I think we're close too.
I see nothing on the horizon, any residue of a clue to tell me that a consumer can walk and buy a Linux desktop for $400 in the store. I see zero, nothing.
Well, that's fine. That being said, maybe you're right there. But what I'm saying is, when I say close, I'm saying close to where some of these bug problems will finally start to be more minimized or maybe go away, because there's not really a lot of things. I mean, there was a time you couldn't touch an AMD driver on Linux. Now it's baked into the kernel and it's running beautiful. You know, so I don't know. It'll be interesting when I'll let you know when I get around to finally getting the AMD graphics card. See how it goes.
Yeah.
And you know, like I said, Toss, I have a AMD card in here, and after this stream, you know, I might throw, you know, Linux as just a test on here, just to see, you know, not going to wipe Mac away. I'm just going to do a triple boot and see how, you know, Linux runs on this machine.
May I make a suggestion, Ben?
What?
Linux Lite.
Linux Lite, yeah. Well, I'll consider it, Ricky. I mean, you know, I don't want to throw something uberly difficult on here.
Oh, trust me, Linux Lite is not difficult.
No, I'm just saying. I know it's not. I'm just saying, you know, there's something to test temporarily.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because I mean, eventually I would go to something a little bit more my forte.
So, Cameron, are you at 1904 now?
Yes, Ubuntu Mate 1904. It's stable.
Yeah,
I haven't tested all the apps I use. I mean, I'm testing. Well, this is online, but I've tested GUVC viewer. The camera app seems to work. I need to test. Actually, no, Kdenlive I did test. It seems to work.
I use GUVC View Toss. I use it to tweak my webcam settings before I go into Hangouts.
Okay.
Yeah, you can see when I first came on, that's why I used to tweak it sometimes afterwards or whatever.
Yeah, that seems to work in 1904. I've done all the updates. The graphics driver seems okay. Nothing unusual. I went to change the panel changer, crashed a couple of times, but it's still a beta. But that's okay. You know, once I set the panel, I'm done. I don't change it again. So yeah.
But even in the stable versions, like when I was on 1804. I had that happen from time to time too. It seemed like depending on which channel you picked or whatever, you know.
Yes,
especially when which is the one that has the big the tab window.
I think it's Mutiny. Mutiny?
Is it Mutiny? I was going to say Mutiny because sometimes it seems like when you would go to that and then try to go back, some things would get downloaded or whatever. So,
you know,
the system has to do a lot to change all that stuff back.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's fun to play with, but after a while, I have a custom panel at the top, and then like I'm almost done and now I'm done. You know, I just I you know, by default, Mate has a panel top and bottom. I delete the bottom one. Everything's at the top. Especially doing Hangouts, it's easier for me just to look there and not do this up and down. You know.
Do you use ChiroDoc still or something like that?
Say again?
Do you use ChiroDoc still too?
Sometimes. Yeah, I don't have it on. I haven't tested that yet. I don't really need ChiroDoc. ChiroDoc is nice eye candy, and it's functional. But do I really need it? Nah. But I'll probably install it because it does look nice.
And my favorite dock application is Docky because of the panel mode.
I just like the looks of ChiroDoc. So, no.
Yeah. Yeah, Toss. I mean, I'm finishing up Hackman Linux, you know, at the moment. I've made some significant changes. Like, I don't know if I told you this, but it used to have just do you remember the distro Archmid panel?
Archmid? No.
The one by Midfinger, you know. Do you remember Midfinger?
Yes, I do, vaguely.
He made his own Arch distro.
Okay.
You remember the Architect installer, the one that Carl Duff wrote?
I do not know.
Yeah, I know you're not a big Arch guy, but you know what it was a somewhat easy installer to help people basically do Arch without having to do it the Arch way. And what I've done is I initially had the PacBang or the Architect installer incorporating in my distro, and it's one that I made with Matthew on months ago. And so I decided that this installer, while it's good, not a lot of newbies are going to want to use it. So honestly, I decided I'm going to incorporate the Calamari installer, and because, I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but, you know, I decided that's what I'm going to use from now on, because I've got my own custom slideshow in there, everything like that. Silent Robot's been helping me tweak it, get it set up. So yeah, I think this distro is going to go places. I really do. Don't you think, Ricky?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So I mean, that's what I would.
Sam's got a very heavy, loud keyboard.
Yeah.
Well, mine's not loud. It's just the fact that I have a loud type.
It sounds like he's using one of those old school IBM quirky keyboards.
Well, this keyboard that I have, it's that Logitech G910, and with the microphone, I mean, it's like 8 inches away. I don't know if you guys could hear it when I type, but when I used to use the webcam, I could sit there and try to go real soft, and they'd still hear me. Yet this thing, with the microphone right here, you can't hear it. Well, yeah, but the point is, I'm trying to hear me, so I'm trying to go real soft, or if I didn't mute myself. But this one, I've never had anybody say they could hear it, and it's 8 inches away, where the other thing is 2 feet away.
Sam says it's a keyboard Model M. Is that next to the Model T? That's why it's so loud.
Yeah.
After Model F, but you know.
Okay.
Wait a minute, Sam. It's an IBM Model M?
No, it's a Unicomp one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, and Sam, if what you're talking about with Matt, if he's back on the kick again the other way, because it was within the last couple of months, he did some videos coming back to Linux from Windows because he was having some systems issues or whatever, and I think like English Bob, him and they kind of go back and forth from time to time. But bottom line, it's whatever's working for you at the time, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Right. So.
Well, Matt has actually just built a really kick-ass looking AMD system for himself with some modern parts.
Oh, he did?
Yes! He just finished it today.
Yeah, so, some people donated him parts.
Nice.
Right.
He needed something.
Daniel Kelly sent him the cooler. He ordered the case and the rest of the parts, but somebody in Norway or New Zealand or whatever sent him the graphics card and the motherboard and the processor. So the only parts and Dan Kelly sent him the cooler. So all he had to buy was the power supply and the etc.
Nice.
And he incorporated his own drives. Everything else was stuff he had or got donated. So yeah. So yeah.
I have one last bit of Microsoft news before I have to end this in about 5 minutes, guys. But Microsoft is closing an ebook store, deleting all the books you bought.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That sounds kind of
I still believe in actual hard books. So what you need to do, guys, go to your closet, grab your book, take up all the dust, and start using books again, right? Yeah.
Oh, and another bit of announcement I have is I have like maybe 3-4 more weeks worth of college left, and then in my next semester starts my A+ training.
Okay, man.
Yep. So Benny Boy's getting himself on the job bandwagon.
Wait, so
yes.
Toss, say that again. You said that they're deleting the ebooks that you bought.
Yeah.
Oh,
so, but you paid for those things, so they should be yours, right?
No, they're not.
No,
apparently, unless it's a physical book.
That's the same mistake, even with Halo, or and I'm going back to that because we've talked many times about that. You would buy the map packs, and you'd have all these different things that you purchased, and then all of a sudden they decided, well, we're gonna get rid of those, and you go, well, wait a minute, I paid for them. No. You paid the right to use it.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is. You
bought the physical game,
right?
But yeah,
right. I mean,
but even a physical game. If you bought Halo, put the disc in, and you bought the DLC packs.
Yeah.
You still didn't own them because they were digital packs.
Right. I know.
Yep.
I know. You got to read the fine print. But yeah. Anyway.
Yep.
So.
Oh, by the way, everybody in the comment section, smash that like button. Support everybody here.
Yes, exactly. I already clicked the like button.
I need to wrap this up here in a minute. I need to make a long distance call, but I should be on. My schedule's been all over the place the last month. That's why I haven't done as many of these, and I'm sorry about that. But I should be on tomorrow night, and then after that, I don't know when I'll be on again. I'll be quite honest, but I should be on tomorrow night. We'll do a live chat Tuesday, I guess. That's what I'll call it. So.
You can call it Toss Tuesday if you want.
Toss Tuesday, yeah.
Toss Tuesday.
Toss Tuesday, right.
Yeah. That actually rings a bell.
Toss Tuesday, yeah. So we have Microsoft Monday, Toss Tuesday. What, Wow Wednesday?
What?
Whiny Windows Users Wednesday or something, you know.
Whiny Windows Users Wednesday.
Yeah.
Wacky Wednesday, I like that.
Wacky Wednesday, yeah.
Well,
you know, Fridays I haven't been on, so I'll call Fridays Forget About It Fridays.
Something like that.
Hello, Jan. Yes, I saw you on MeWe. Welcome to the Total OS Today group. Join me on MeWe. If you don't like Facebook, I like what I see on MeWe.
Right. I'm on both, but I'm slowly moving myself away to MeWe.
Okay, so
I'm tired of Facebook and all the crap that's going on there. I mean, you know.
Hello, DIY Home. Welcome. Are you new, DIY Home? That sounds like a show on the cable channel.
The cable channel.
DIY Home says, thanks for the conversation. Thanks, Toss, for bringing Stephanie. Well, you know what? Thanks, Stephanie. She's been a good sport to join me Sunday mornings from Germany. So yeah, check out her channel. She's a great singer-songwriter. So Stephanie, if you watch this, thank you for being part of the community. We all miss you. We all love you. So anyway, yeah.
Hey Tom, what's up, buddy?
Switch, your timing is late. I gotta go. So welcome and goodbye.
Hang on a sec. Later, guys.
Has anybody had any luck or any experience with NVIDIA cards lately with Linux?
I've had phenomenal luck with
graphics cards, yeah. Because I'm looking at refurbished machines, and from Dell to move up to my first 4 squirrels here running in this machine. So a lot of them have NVIDIA cards, like a 1060 card built in. And I don't know how it's going to work with Linux. I mean, if I buy the refurbished machine, and it does what I want it to do for video rendering, like cut my time in half or less, and for some reason it does not work in Linux, I'm not returning the machine. I'm going to stick with Windows. You know, I'm thinking it's going to be okay, but I don't know anymore. So
there's a site that I just discovered for checking bottlenecks, like against your CPU and stuff like that. And I thought it was just comes down to each particular game. It's bottleneck calculator.
Okay.
So I ran that. I've got the Ryzen 5 1600 in here, and I've got a 1050 Ti, and it runs really fine.
Okay.
I mean, I've got a 418 56 current, or driver in here and all that.
Okay.
It's running good, but interestingly enough, is it showed up as it's bottlenecking pretty high, and yet I don't tend to see it. I do see some screen stutter on occasion, depending on the game. Yet when I did the RX 580, it's perfect. It's a really good fit.
Okay.
So that might be a good site to check if you spec out your system on there.
Yeah,
it's really kind of, and if it's accurate, that's
okay.
It makes sense. So
cool.
Well, I'll tell you this. I got this ThinkPad W530. It has an NVIDIA Quadro K2000M in it, and I've had a few quirks here and there, but for the most part, it's been pretty decent.
So Sam, you have no issues with 3 system Linux all NVIDIA cards. Yeah, the GTX 1060, I believe, the one I was looking at, I believe should do 1080p fine.
Yeah, that would be a good card.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at, something or higher, but at least that.
Yeah, and they actually too, that same site, when I was thinking about throwing this card when I get the new 580, I was going to throw this Ti back into the other machine, which is an FX 8370 AMD, and it did do better from a bottom, like you said. It still showed as being a tad weak.
Okay.
But interestingly enough, I've got an old in that machine now, a GTX 760, and I'm going to put it in a machine in the other room that's got a i7 960 in it, and it's like down there real low. So I think it's a good site to use as a reference to see.
And what's that site again?
It's a bottleneck calculator. It's called it.
Got it. Okay.
Real quick, I could put the link in the chat if you'd like.
All right. Last minute warning for the comments. I want to thank everybody. For the people who joined in late, sorry about that. I should be on again tomorrow night, same time, because I don't have to get up early Wednesday morning. So if you missed out, came in late, thank you. I do appreciate it. So.
I put it in the chat here. It's actually PC builds /calculator, and I'll put it in the actual YouTube chat. So if
bottleneck calculator, nice. I've never seen this.
Yeah, it seems to be a really nice tool.
Okay.
Well, if you have if it's coming with NVIDIA Optimus, it's going to be a nightmare any distro. But what I'll say is that I found the only way I got it to work properly on my machine was I found an AUR package called Optimus Manager, and now it works fine. It's the only way I was able to get this thing to recognize my external monitor properly.
Well, the other thing too about this site that I noticed is if it does show that you're having maybe or a little compatibility or a little bottlenecking, whatever, it'll actually list below its recommendations of what you should be looking at.
Okay.
Or it'll tell you either to downgrade your CPU or it'll tell you what cards you should move to. It's pretty interesting.
Okay. Yeah, I got it up here. PC Bills calculator. Okay. All right. Very good. With Optimus, it's usually better to set the video to discrete in the bias. I will ask Optimus Prime tomorrow. No.
Nice. Good one.
You know, unfortunately, that's what a lot of people do fail and make that mistake. They fail to check the BIOS on a lot of things they do when they're setting up a system, and sometimes it's just a simple adjustment or tweak in there too.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I wouldn't buy a machine for gaming so much as to speed up the video rendering. Like this machine here, I just stopped doing 1080p upload. It just takes too long to render. I'm going to go 720p and that's it. It's good enough. I just wanted to speed up the rendering times if I cut it in half, you know. So, and I think a machine like that with the card, even with the, you know, open source drivers, if it works, it should be faster. So, you know. That's my guess anyway, so.
Yeah. Anyway, I need to get going.
All right. Yeah, I need to go too. All right. Thanks everybody here in the live chat. Always fun. Thanks in the chat online. Always a pleasure. If you haven't already, check out the latest news and nonsense with our friend Stephanie. We record those every Sunday morning because our schedules match. That's why. So, and I try to do the editing the same day and try to upload that Sunday nights, you know, during the premiere video. So check those out. I should be on tomorrow night, probably about the same time, for a Toss Tuesday, whatever you want to call it. So, all right. Well, have a good night, everybody.
All right. Good night.
Bye.
Night.